Hi y'all, this is Cole from Smudge Wellness, and when we think about this month's theme of commitment, I want to take an opportunity for us to really understand commitment to the self through the lens of astrology by deep diving into the first house. The first house, which is also known as the ascendant, and the cusp of the first house is what we know as our rising sign, is the house of you, right? The house of your self-image, the house of how you present to other people, and the house of everything that just makes you feel, right, and represent yourself. Now, it's important to understand the context of the first house because the first house really is the definition of you, right? Who you are, how do you perceive yourself, and where are you going? There's a lot of opportunities, especially during this month of September, as we contextualize this conversation through commitment, to better understand the self and the commitment potential to the self by understanding the first house. By knowing the sign that rules over our first house and the planets that potentially fall into our first house, it gives us a better understanding of how to navigate our life's path, right? How to best navigate who we are meant to be, right? And where we're going down, and how to activate the specific types of energies that are needed to be the best version of ourselves. And additionally, when we think about it from the context of the September theme, commitment, it gives us a better understanding of how to commit to ourselves, right? How to commit to our best version of who we can be and who we are going to be. Now that we have a general context of what the first house means, let's dive into what all of the rulers over the first house could be, right? So Aries rising, Taurus rising, all of that good stuff. And then also to look at what it means if you have specific planets in your first house. If you are an Aries rising, right, Aries rules over your first house, you are ruled by the planet Mars, right, which means action is all about your soul's purpose and your life path, right? Are you doing things? Are you being a pioneer? Are you leading others? Making sure that you can take all of your great creative ideas and initiatives and help them project other people farther. A Taurus rising, right, or Taurus rulership over the first house is ruled by Venus, right? So it's all about that interconnectedness. Being a Taurus rising as well, too, it's about finding an inner grounding, and it's also about making sure that you find an inner peace and inner comfort, not getting too complacent or relying on material goods, but finding it from the inside as opposed to the outside. For all my Gemini risings out there, you guys are ruled by the planet Mercury, right? So it's all about communication. You are on this planet and in this world in order to communicate thoughts with other people, right? Share knowledge and share that expression of knowledge to help guide and lead others. If you are a Cancer rising, you are ruled by the moon. So it's all about emotional support, right? And emotional guidance for others. Making sure that you are a shining light and a beacon for other people to know that there's a home within you, but also too, finding that home within yourself. It's not just about the expression to others, it's all about the expression to you as well. If you are a Leo rising, you are ruled by the sun, right? So this really strong energy about being just a beacon, right? A beacon of positivity, a beacon of warmness, a beacon of leadership as well too, in order to help people get to where they want to be, and also too, being a true, authentic, genuine representation of yourself. If you are Virgo rising, just like me, you are also ruled by Mercury, but your sort of sense of communication is towards service to others, right? It's all about helping to heal, helping to be a divine light, helping to be someone who is able to take their knowledge, right, and take their sense of communication and use it for the betterment of everyone. If you are a Libra rising, you are also ruled by Venus, but your soul's purpose and calling is all about finding balance and harmony through relationships, right? Being, again, a divine sort of representation of what it is to find inner balance and find inner peace and help other people navigate that sort of journey for themselves too. If you are a Scorpio rising, you have rulership of Pluto and then also to Mars, but it's all about this sense of transformation, right? Transforming darkness into light, transforming yourself into being the highest version, but also too, helping to use your own perspective to transform the world. If you're a Sagittarius rising, your soul's purpose, right, your destiny, your goal is all about this sense of learning, this sense of knowledge, right, this sense of freedom, really allowing people to expand their minds through you, allow yourself to expand your mind as well through different unique perspectives. So really making sure that you're an uplifting energy for everyone around you. If you're a Capricorn rising, you're ruled by the planet Saturn, so you are all about being a leader, right? Being the sort of sense of greater good for everyone else, being that sort of pinnacle of achievement, right? And how can you use your internal strength and your internal power to be someone who motivates and pushes others to find that through themselves as well too. If you are an Aquarius rising, ruled by Uranus, you have this incredible energy of innovation, of change, of humanitarianism through unique perspectives, right? It's all about this sense of how can I take all of the great things in my mind and all of the great emotions that I feel and find the balance between them and share that with the world. And if you are a Pisces rising, right, ruled by Pisces, And if you are a Pisces rising, right, Pisces rulership over the first house, you're ruled by Neptune. So this sense of spirituality, but also too this sense of release, right? This sense of letting it all go, right? Being someone who understands that their service for others is only so good if they can give service to themselves. Now that we've talked about the planetary rulership over, Now that we've talked about the signs and how they rule over the first house and what that means for you, let's talk about the planets, starting with the sun. If your sun falls in your first house, right, you have to be the true essence of you, right? You have to constantly be finding who you are, right, evolving that, but then also to letting that light shine through everything that you do in your life. If your moon falls in your first house, you're definitely someone who wears their heart on their sleeve, right? So finding that balance of the presentation of being authentic emotionally, right? But not allowing people to, or not allowing yourself to, allow emotions to rule or dictate over your action. If Mercury falls in your first house, you're definitely a chatty Cathy, just like me, right? Someone who's very, very communicative and very, very intellectual. However, you need to watch this sense of shrewdness, right? This over-analytical nature, or even to this over-intellectualizing of any of the energy that exists throughout your life. If Venus sits in your first house, you are a true lover, right? You have this sense of passion, you have this sense of compassion, and you have this ability to create really, really unique and incredible relationships. However, you need to make sure that you watch your sense of trust, right? You don't just jump into things and you don't allow your naturally good-hearted energy to be taken advantage of. If Mars sits in your first house, you're definitely action-oriented, right? All about getting things done, going after things and achieving them. You can be a little bit blunt and straightforward at times though, right? Because you like to cut the bullshit. But make sure that you don't overwork yourself, you don't overexert yourself, that you find that nice balance between being activated, right, and being really, really strong, but not overdoing it. If Jupiter sits in your first house, you are definitely an over-the-top kind of person, right? Jupiter is all about expansion, and now that energy just radiates through your entire identity, right? So really, really making sure that you constantly push yourself to be outside of the box, constantly push yourself to be extravagant, but also to find a sense of stability throughout your life, right? Find a sense of stability and humbleness with your personality. If Saturn sits in the first house, you are all about diligence, you're all about hard work, right? You are really, really someone who is able to get shit done, quite literally. However, you need to make sure that you find balance, right? You find that work hard, play hard balance in your life, and you're not overly critical of yourself. Allow the personality to shine through, right? And have trust in the fact that people are gonna love you for you. If Uranus sits in your first house, you're definitely a very, very interesting type of person, have a really, really unique perspective and a really, really unique personality to you. However, Uranus is an incredibly intellectual planet, right? So you need to make sure that you watch that intellectual energy, right? Don't come off too cold or a little bit too dry at times. Make sure that you let that uniqueness shine through, right? That really, really true humanitarian quality shine through, as opposed to potentially the overthinkingness. If Neptune sits in your first house, it's basically just the moon on steroids, right? Incredibly emotional, incredibly sensitive, right? Really, really spiritual and profound. Need to make sure though that you watch the line between the physical plane of where you are and then to the metaphysical, right? The spiritual plane, because sometimes you can get a little bit too dreamlike and a little bit too spacey. And lastly, if Pluto sits in your first house, you definitely have a very, very strong, a very, very radiant, and a very, very powerful energy. You are also too the type of person who needs to make sure that they're not constantly transforming, right, or constantly judging, or also potentially as well too, right, constantly closing themselves off from others. Pluto in the first house can be really, really powerful and really, really transformative for the greater good if they let people in. Okay, my chickadees, so now that we've looked at all of this information, right, and we've learned it, how can we use it? How can we activate it? Well, let's use me as an example. I'm a Virgo rising, so now I know, okay, I need to be of service to other people throughout my life, right? I need to be someone who is helping, who is guiding, and who is encouraging growth. I also know too that I have Mars in my first house, so I need to constantly be making action towards it, right? I need to be someone who is a pioneer. I need to call the shots as opposed to allowing other people to call the shots for me. So thinking about that is definitely going to allow us to create a stronger commitment to ourselves and a stronger commitment to the best version of ourselves that we can be. So with all of that, my dear sweet little chickadees, I'm sending you all so much love. And if you want more content on astrology, on tarot, on crystals, on healing, and all of that great stuff, make sure to check out Smudge Wellness on Instagram, our YouTube, and then also to the blog, The Dirt.